everyone and welcome! With the coming of Irelia, the story of Ionia is in full movement once again. And just like it was with Noxus, here we also received a lot of information about Ionia's history. So before we even tackle any of the new stories, it is important to talk about the Lands of Ionia first. So let's have a look at what we know from all the little descriptions on Ionia's universe. Ionia is a land of unspoiled beauty and natural magic. Its inhabitants, living in scattered settlements across this massive island continent, are a spiritual people who seek to live in harmony and balance with the world. There are many others and sects across Ionia, each following their own, often conflicting, paths and ideals. Self-sufficient and isolationist, Ionia has remained largely neutral in the wars that have ravaged Valoran over the centuries, until it was invaded by Noxus. This brutal conflict and occupation has forced Ionia to reassess its place in the world. How it reacts and the future path Ionia will follow is as yet undetermined, but will be of great importance to Runeterra. Magic suffuses every part of Ionia, its people, its history, and most of all the land itself. All aspects of life there hang in a balance, with still so much left to be discovered and explored. Those who call this vast continent home strive to find harmony among the diverse races and habitats, far older than most others on Runeterra. The people of Ionia's many provinces have already seen themselves as part of the natural world, and adapted their ways to live alongside all manner of fantastical flora and fauna. To outsiders, such a close relationship may appear strange, but it is through this interdependence that both the land and its inhabitants have thrived for countless generations. It is certain Ionia has a much longer and richer history than any living soul could claim to know. Indeed, in the more remote mountain passes, the landscape is still littered with evidence of great wars from ages past. But instead of clearing the ruins, the Ionians choose to respect what remains, even if they no longer fully understand what it represents. Though the birthplace of many civilized forms of martial arts, Ionia maintains no standing armies. Rather, the ways of battle are tied to differing philosophies, passed on with reverence and care. In the northeastern mountains, the monastery of Hirana has long been a sanctuary for those seeking to better understand their connection to the spirit realm. Ionian architecture is characterized by a sense of natural flow and grace, aspiring to reflect the ethereal beauty of the land. Grand open spaces ensure that no one is ever fully divorced from what organically existed there before. Situated at the heart of the continent, the Precedium is one of Ionia's most sacred places. Many have journeyed here to study at renowned schools, or meditate in its wild magical gardens. Undoubtedly, this is why it became such a tempting target for the invading armies of Noxus. It was at the Precedium that the people of Ionia finally took up arms against their Noxian armies, but the cost of the day's victory was immense, and some now question if fighting back was the right decision, since the harmonious balance of their homeland may have been lost forever. These were the short descriptions posted for the base Ionian lore, but Riot also released a video where Riot Booger Games and Vargbabo explain Ionia in more detail. Usually I would comment over what they say with more context, but here they do it so well that I'll just let them talk. So keep in mind that the link to their original video will be in the description.
So Ionia is a place where people attempted to live in harmony with nature, but also with magic.
Now, because Ionia is so infused with magic and the borders to the spirit realms are so thin here, that radically affects Ionia's everyday lives and culture in some really cool ways.
So like if you wanted to build a house in Demacia, right? You would cut down a tree, turn it into planks, then like nail those wooden corpses together. You wouldn't do that in Ionia. You would probably upset the tree's spirit, and that could have repercussions for you and your family and for the generations. So instead, you would contact like a woodweaver who would try and convince the tree to grow in a way that's beneficial for you. And in that way, you can live together. The tree gets to live, and you get a pretty sweet condo.
Of course, that means you might wake up one morning and find your house has grown in a night, and suddenly you got some high ceilings. Or a branch has moved in the night and now you're trapped inside your own bedroom.
So because of natural magic, Ionians have a totally different relationship with permanence and their surroundings than other places. For example, there's these rivers of grass in central Ionia that flow and move with the tides of magic. And there's these people called land fishers who can collect all the grains and fruits that are the result of these sort of magical tides if they're in tune with that magic.
Yeah, the landscape and the culture are also affected by the spirits. For instance, there's a coastal region called Azure Farms, and at certain times of the year, people might give offerings and gifts to the local sea spirits, and if those offerings are appreciated, thousands of yellow crabs might walk onto the beaches and just wait to be captured later in the year.
Magic in Ionia can also affect you in smaller ways. So if you were in a city at a market and you bought a sun apple, you discover that that fruit can warm you and can even tan your entire body just as soon as you bite into it.
Another thing that makes Ionia different from the rest of Runeterra is spirits and creatures abound in the wilds here. Some of these things are fierce and incredibly dangerous, but many others can be helpful, like the giant Luon Khan seen building a dam here.
The region is also home to the largest Vestayan population in Runeterra. That's those half-human, half-animal folks like Ari, Rakan, and Zaya.
The Vestaia are here because most of the Vestayan race originated on the borders between Ionia and the spirit realms, and they need magic-rich environment to survive.
And what I love about June's painting of a Faun tribesman sort of looking over these magical Quinlan things is it actually captures the feeling that a lot of Vestaia have. They're very unhappy and uncertain with the way that humans are using magic.
Of course, the humans have good reasons for this. The world is changing and the Noxus Empire invaded.
Now, Noxus wasn't the first nation to attack Ionia. With its lack of centralized government and standing military, it's been a tempting target for a long, long time.
But the people of Ionia have been able to stay disorganized and not meet violence with violence because the land itself always proved dangerous to invaders, sweeping supplies away in sudden storms or scattered enemy troops in its dense, soul-altering forests.
But the Noxians weren't like their other foes. Noxians solve problems brutally. So when the land turned out to be a problem, they hired this Zonite chemist to make chem bombs. And they just started wiping out huge areas of the land, causing mass extinction of creatures and killing a lot of innocent civilians.
When the Noxian did this, a few people in Ionia decided they were no longer happy just being defensive. They start using magic offensively and fighting back.
And then at the bridges at the Precedium of Navori, in what would become one of the most defining battles of the war, a 14-year-old mage dancer named Aurelia nearly wiped out all of the enemy high command. Her heroism inspired the nation to take action.
The Ionians managed to drive the Noxians almost completely out of their nation. Previously, the people had these illusions that if they just live in harmony with nature, everything would always be okay. But now they had experienced the true horror of war.
So this means Ionia is at a turning point, and the divisions within that nation are pulling against one another. On the one side, there's traditionalists like Karma and Shen and the Kinku Order. And on the other side, there's radicals like Zed and the Navori Brotherhood. Actually, we're not going to go into that right now.
Yeah, we'll have more stuff coming that'll delve deeper into those factions, the Vestaia, and what has been going on in Ionia since the war.
So, this is all you need to know to get started with Ionia. Now, what can you expect on this channel in the upcoming weeks? The story of Aurelia was released, and the stories of Karma, Lee Sin, Riven and Yasuo were updated, so these stories will have priority. Also, at the end of the Dev Diary video, they mentioned that they will dive deeper into some of Ionia's factions, so I believe we can expect even more in the upcoming future. But that's it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, feel free to rate it and subscribe for more lore and news. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Discord if you'd like to chat. If you're interested, our second channel is a thing. It's a thing. We also play fan games and other games on Twitch, so feel free to check us out there too. Our merch and P.O.Box will be in the description. Of course, massive shout out to our patrons for going the extra mile. especially Lunar Borgir and Sol Gomez. Thank you guys so much. And with that, thank you all so much for being here and for your support. You know I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you come again.